Symbols have served as powerful tools for uniting people. However, in the hands of extremist ideologies, many of these symbols have had their meaning distorted to promote division and hatred. In this video, we will explore one of the most prominent symbols used by fascist and neo-Nazi groups, examining its origin and the motivation behind its modern use. The arrow-crossed emblem originated with the Hungary's Arrow Cross Party, a fascist political group that rose to prominence in the 1930s and 1940s. The party, inspired by Nazi Germany, combined ultra-nationalism, anti-Semitism, and militarism, and militant authoritarianism. Its symbol, featuring crossed arrows pointing in opposite direction, represented their vision of Hungary's expansion and dominance. During World War II, the Arrow Cross Party briefly seized power in Hungary, carrying out atrocities against Jews, Romani people, and political dissidents. Although the party was dissolved after the war, the Arrow Cross emblem remained a symbol of hate, appearing in far-right movements in Hungary and among neo-fascist groups abroad. The Celtic cross, an ancient symbol of Christianity, found on stone monuments and gravestones across Europe, has a long and rich history. It traditionally symbolizes the union of heaven and earth, or eternity throughout the circle that surrounds the cross. However, in the 20th century, the Celtic cross was adopted by neo-Nazis and white nationalist groups worldwide, stripping it of its spiritual meaning. Organizations like Stormfront, one of the largest online platforms for white supremacists, prominently featured the Celtic cross in their logos. Far-right political party Forza Nova, or New Force, has used the symbol to emphasize their claims of defending traditional European culture. Similarly, banned neo-Nazi groups like PDA and Britain's People's Party have employed the Celtic cross to signify their racial ideologies. This distortion has turned a symbol of faith into an emblem of hate, complicating its perception in modern society. The crosslet, recognizing by its four arms that branches into smaller crosses, as a history-rooted Christian iconography, symbolizing faith and missionary work. Yet, like many other symbols, the crosslets was appropriated for political purposes. The Lithuanian National Socialist Party, a far-right group inspired by Nazi Germany, adopted the symbol to represent their vision of national purity and racial superiority. Its use within this context demonstrates how even obscure religious symbols can be weaponized to advance extremist agendas. While the Lithuanian National Socialist Party is a relatively small organization, its adoption of the crosslet reflects a broader trend in which far-right groups seek to link their ideologies to historical or spiritual traditions. The Sun Cross, also known as Solar Wheel or Wheel Cross, predates Christianity and was widely used in ancient Europe and Asian cultures. It symbolized the sun, life, and the cycle of seasons. Its simple design, a cross enclosed within a circle, made it a universal emblem of harmony and continuity. In the 20th century, far-right groups like the Swedish Nordic Realm Party adopted the sun cross, transforming its meaning into representation of white heritage and racial purity. In the United States, the Knights Party, a white nationalist organization descended from the Ku Klux Klan or KKK, also used the sun cross as a part of an ancient symbol, illustrated how fascist ideology often attempt to establish a connection to glorify past, reinterpreting historical artifacts to legitimize their beliefs. The power of the symbols lies in their ability to communicate. As we have been seen, these crosses carry a heavy burden of history, both as sacred emblems and as tools of extremism. But the crosses is only one chapter in history. Let's turn another infamous symbol, the swastika. Perhaps the most infamous of all symbols associated with fascism is the swastika. Throughout its origins are ancient and rooted in positivity. It has become a universal symbol of hate due to its adoption by the Nazi Party. Alongside the swastika, we will also explore the runes, ancient Germanic symbols that have similarly repurposed to promote far-right ideologies. The swastika is an ancient symbol appealing in cultures across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. In Hinduism and Buddhism, it represents prosperity, life, and good fortune. In Native American culture, it symbolizes the four cardinal directions and the circle of life. But in the 20th century, Adolf Hitler adopted the swastika as the emblem of Nazi Party, rebranding it as the symbol of Aryan race purity and the German nationalism. Under the Nazi regime, the swastika became synonymous with genocide and hatred. Even after the fall of the Third Reich, the swastika remained a rallying symbol for neo-Nazi groups worldwide. Organizations like the American Nazi Party, São Paulo, skinheads in Brazil prominently displayed to perpetuate their ideologies of white supremacy and fascism. A modern variation of swastika, the bladed swastika, emerged in Russia as the symbol of Russian national unity. This group combines neo-Nazism with Russian nationalism, using the bladed design to convey aggression and strength. The RNU bladed swastika underscores how extremist groups adapt historical symbols to create a distinct identity while maintaining connections to fascist ideologies. Its angular design emphasizes a militaristic and combative ethos, reinforcing the group's far-right messaging. The Wolfsangel, originally a medieval rune associated with protection and trapping wolves, found new lives in Nazi Germany as a symbol of the SS, Hitlerjugend. In recent decades, the Wolfsangel reappeared in the insignia of far-right groups, most notably the Azov Battalion in Ukraine. Its continued use reflects a deliberate effort to evoke the militarism and nationalist fever of Nazi Germany. However, its presence has sparked debates, with some arguing that its historical roots predate fascist ideology, while others condemned it as a deliberate nod to neo-Nazism. The Black Sun is an esoteric symbol with its origin in Nazi mysticism. It was prominently featured in the Welsburg castle, which Heinrich Himmler envisioned as the spiritual center of the SS. In the modern era, the Black Sun has been adopted by groups like Vanguard America and the Azov Battalion. Tragically, it also appeared on the weapons and manifesto of the Christchurch Moscow shooter, underscoring its role as symbol of racial hatred and violence. The Black Suns association with neo-Nazism highlights how extremist groups use occult and mystical imaginary to create an air of authority and destiny around their ideologies. Runes, the ancient alphabet of Germanic tribes, hold deep cultural and historical significance, but in the 20th century the Nazi Party appropriated runes to construct a pseudo-historical foundation for their ideology. The Algis rune, a symbol of protection, has been repurposed by groups like the Allgemeine Heidnische Front and the National Alliance in the United States. Its modern use often invokes ideas of defense and purity, aligning with far-right ideologies. The Odal rune, representing heritage and inheritance, became a center symbol in Nazi propaganda, appearing on banners and insignias. Today, it remains popular among neo-Nazi groups, emphasizing ideas of bloodlines and racial purity. The Sigil rune, used on SS uniform, symbolized victory. Its sleek design made it a striking emblem of Nazism militarism, and it continues to appear in far-right iconography, often alongside other Nazi-era symbols. The Tyr rune, associated with Norse god of war and justice, was featured on the badges of Nazi Germany's SA Reichsführerschulen. Today, groups like the Nordic resistance movements to signify leadership and martial strength, blending ancient mythology with modern extremism. The Tyrskone, an ancient symbol seen in Celtic, Greek and Norse art, traditionally represent progress and cycle of motion. However, a specific adaptation of the Tyrskleon, composed of three seven, has been used by AWB, a white supremacist and neo-Nazi organization in South Africa. For the AVB, the triple seven represents divine perfection and serves as a counter to the biblical number 666, which they are associated with their perceived enemy. This reinterpretation of a religion motif reflects the AVB strategy of blending pseudo-religious justification with racial supremacy. Their use of this Triskelion-like symbol underscores a resurrecting themes in extremist iconography, the repurposing of the ancient or spiritual symbols to forge a narrative of superiority and resistance. Nordic pagan symbols such as Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor, are deeply rooted in Norse mythology. The traditionally Mjolnir symbolized protection and strength. However, these symbols have been co-opted by neo-Nazis and white nationalist groups to promote their ideology. For example, modern far-right organizations often invoke Norse mythology to construct a narrative of racial purity tied to mythological Aryan heritage. The Labris, or double-headed X, is an ancient associated with Minoan Crete, where it held ceremonial and possibly religious significance. In Greek mythology, linked to Zeus and the Amazons. In the modern, some fascist Greek organizations have adopted the Labris as a symbol of nationalism and romanticize connections to ancient Hellenic culture. These groups use the Labris to invoke strength and authority, promoting ultra-conservative ideals. The rebranding of such symbols demonstrate how extremist movements seek legitimacy to antiquity, regardless of connection to history, regardless of the symbol's original meaning. In Argentina, the new Triumph Party adopted Nazi-style aesthetics, blending them with locally nationalistic imagery. While banned in 2009, their symbol continued to circle among far-right circles, revealing the lingering influence of fascist ideology in South America. Symbols carry immense power, capable of inspiring unity or perpetual division. By understanding their origin and modern misuse, we can reclaim their meaning and resist their distortion by those who seek to spread hate.